Glitterangels, it's Viv J. Welcome back to my episode of Set the Stage. So this is episode number 7. So here we are with another solo video. So for my title, I'm pretty sure you could already tell by reading it. So I'm doing quite a huge topic that I could not talk about as a young teen. In the meantime, I figured you seem pretty interested on what this episode might cover. So I have them written on a document. It's from my phone that I'm going to reference to. So I was inspired by Jazzy Ann. So she's a YouTube creator. So she titled a video saying, "I thought I would feel like a woman by now." So I'll be sure to provide a link in the description for that. So I'm sure you'll definitely get a glimpse of what she's talking about. She's amazing. So it's kind of like, for this episode, I'm digging into like bits and pieces of what is considered womanly to me, but also sharing briefly, like a little bit in depth of interests I've had since I was a little girl, and as I've grown, all that stuff. So there's a whole lot to name, but I'll try to keep it simple. So without further ado, let's get into episode 7. Let's start with the big general question. Okay, so does this look like a real woman? Here's the dealio. I'm 23, and I still love the interests that I've had in my childhood. Like, I just do. But at the same time, though, I worry on how people would perceive it as, like, childish or totally immature or too girly. As you know, I'm sitting right on my bed near my stuffed animals. So yep, it is true. So sure, looking womanly can look like wearing a dress or long hair or whatever the case may be. But it could also lead to the things that I've grown up with. So this is like a kind of like a segment in terms of being how I've been appearing through my adulthood as like being too girly and how people have put me in boxes in the past. So it's like autobiographical, but in a way also talking briefly about the interests that have shaped me overall. To begin with, we're going to start with the themes of judgment and boxes. So I question why people attach such rigid meanings to femininity, and why is it so much of judging others by appearance? It's like in the prejudice system. So I've been misunderstood for God knows how long. It was like as if I don't belong because of having special interests or aesthetics. And oh my god. So for those that don't know what a special interest is, it's like a deep interest in particular object or idea or thing. And it's pretty common among neurodivergent individuals, like those with autism, ADHD, all that to name. Here's in a way then how the special interests I've had have acted as like a survival tool. As you know, I've had a thing for plushies, kawaii, animated movies. They've been important coping mechanisms, especially when I've been socially isolated because of food allergies and everything. And here's what they did. Like, although like people might have questioned me a lot about it, I couldn't talk about it as a kid. Like, I had no words. But as I grew, it's like, oh, it has helped me in a way. And here's how. Number 1, it helps me survive the hard times that I've had, and they still bring comfort and joy into my life. So people are often mistaking imagination for immaturity, but for me, it's always been a form of survival, and later a tool for storytelling. Perhaps I don't share this all the time because I clearly didn't know how to. Now that I've applied to film schools and everything, I was like, I might as well share it in future videos, why not? And here we are. So plushies, to me, they're not only about protection, they're part of my creative process. Like, as a filmmaker, like, the colors, the appearances, they've created mood boards, visual tones, and even character ideas. All that to name. I mean, you could see, for example, this is a pizza pusheen. On my bed, you could see I've got a combination of pusheens, cats, Sanrio, even Lumpy, who I've had since I was 2 years old. Yep. If you know, you know. And of course, Nelson, my trusty sidekick. And people are so quick to assume, like, oh, she's still, like, 7 or 8, or she's definitely, like, 12 in a way, not like she is in her 20s. I mean, that's funny, because I sound of 17 or 18, so... These plushies, what they have in common, it's like... They're like my basic outlets for, like, whenever I'm doing hands-on. To me, how that implies to making videos and also plushies in a way, it's like... I've utilized a lot of the stuffies as, like, a visual kickstart guide. Like, it's, like, come from my head. It's fascinating in a way. And here's an example. Back when I applied for my master's in film at AAPI, the American Film Institute, so I wrote about the movies and worlds that have shaped me in a way. Like, for example, How to Train Your Dragon, Robots, The Nightmare Before Christmas. And what did they teach me? Well, it was more of like loving underdogs and outsiders that don't fit the mold. I talked about being that kid who watched videos alone, thinking in pictures, turning stuffed animals into actors, not realizing that I was building a director's brain. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, why didn't I speak of this when I was a young teen? But as an adult, I'm able to speak about it now. Ah! Well, times change, they say. Okay. So, essentially, the very things people once mocked as immature, like, are the same things that I present within my artistic voice. Stuffed animals, they became my blueprint, in a way. So, over time, I've learned to reframe what is referred to as special interests. They've been teaching me more than I've realized in my life. I'm still that girl who loved pink, Sanrio, kawaii, and makeup. So it's like a sign that I have not lost joy or curiosity that raised me. The moment I look back at the things that brought me joy as a kid, it's like, oh wow, this is like a whole lot of emotional honesty. And it's like, why didn't I consider this, I mean, I was still a little girl to know. I was still a young teen to know about it. It took a lot of words to put it that way. And here's what I found through my stuffed animals. Well, softness, color, fantasy, that is marked by illness and isolation. That isn't failure. That's creative coping. All my life, I've had such a thing for stylized, expressive worlds and tastes that coexist with still being a 23-year-old responsible and reflective, woman. So those interests, they did not hold me back. They made me the type of person who creates, who feels, who dares to build worlds instead of just surviving in them. When I was rewatching How to Train Your Dragon, oh my god, still such a good movie. That can be found on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one of my movies that I've loved watching when I was a kid. And still as an adult, I love How to Train Your Dragon. One of the reasons was because of the message it conveyed. I relate so much to Hiccup, the protagonist of the film, and also his dragon buddy, Toothless. The story goes that Hiccup, in How to Train Your Dragon, he's been trying to showcase that dragons are meant to be friends, not enemies. And so, many times, he thinks he's got what it takes to be a killer of dragons, but really, he's just not. And although his father and Gobber might have, questioned him in a way, or, said, you should be more of us, no more of this. And he goes, you just gestured to all of me. If you know what I'm talking about. It's essentially, Hiccup, he's been, figuring out himself, about, who he is. So it's, in his mindset of, what his father wants him to be versus what he wants to be. And then I'm pretty sure it gets to the point where he's like, what's the point of me trying to be something I'm not? Like, he thought he was meant to be a killer, but really he's not a killer. He's been trying to show, like, how different he really is. So, and that was kind of like my situation too. Like, I feel like Hiccup in a way. Because, well, it was like the whole pressure of me trying to be something that I wasn't meant to be versus what people generally expect of me. And also Toothless too, because, well, he's a Night Fury. And he's a rare variety of his species. And that's what I felt. Like, in Toothless's point of view, like, how it similarly relates to what I've been through. Well, it's like the whole, well, because, like, growing up Asian American, it's like, is this person gonna hate me? Is this person gonna like me? It's like the whole, like, friend versus foe mindset. Well, it's like a nature thing that runs within, us, like within folks of color. It's not uncommon. Yeah, so true story. Like at the time, when I was a kid and also a teen, I could not speak of my special interests because I didn't know how to, number one. And number two, I genuinely thought my teachers would hate me for that. Like just because I have such interests in anything that's like so girly or so feminine or like a lot of kawaii material, all that stuff. Like, even when I went to college, when I went to DePauw, like, I was so scared that, like, people were going to be so judgy about it. But turns out they weren't. Like, I loved how there were people that were respectful in terms of how I see things differently as a neurodivergent person. The simplest way I can tell you this, it's like, for me, like, what neurodivergence is to me, it's like looking the world in a different way than most people do. And, it's not bad, in a way. It provides an advantage, actually. So, yep. Like, as I said, the special interests that I've had as a child, that did not hold me back from adulthood. They have shaped me into the creators that I'm becoming. So, like, here are some boundaries that I've set between me, my friends, my family, anyone you know. So here's what I want going forward. It's pretty simple. Stop asking invasive questions every few seconds, as if I have to give you a breakdown of my life. That pushes my emotions past a 10. It's like gut level, like someone tearing open a bag of things that no one needs to see. Just feels like they're looking at a bag of bloody tampons and pads, and guess what? The moment they're in that bag, it stinks up the bag. Not a good smell. It's disgusting. That's the kind of violation it feels like when people are digging into my comfort, like my coping tools, like garbage. When that happens, every nerve fires in my blood. Like, the rage, it gets real. Real as frick. Fuck assumptions. They do more harm than good. Like, mind your business. Like, just mind your freaking business. And that applies to my special interests. Like, if you don't like it, just mind your freaking business. Because I still love a lot of cute things around me wherever I am. And here's the thing. My story comes first. It's like what drives everything. The rest are just props. Instead of just like assuming like, oh, just because I've got a lot of girly and bright stuff around my room just means like I'm like 11, or do not ever think that. There are ways to ask like background questions relevant to like what you're interested in. Like, there's a way to do that without being so judgy. I can do a different video about it. Essentially, out of any movie that I've seen, sure, I may be also into horror movies, but I am importantly into films that taught me about underdogs and outsiders. Like how Hiccup and Toothless, they mirror of my own bridge building and difference. It's like as if I was asked, how did I write about those influences in my application? Well, because it was part of the question. Like, when they were asking me about, like, what movies inspire you to make films, I was like, oh, How to Train Your Dragon, Nightmare Before Christmas, Robots. I'll tell you why Robots. Well, because, well, like, it's like a movie that came in 2005, if I'm not mistaken, so I must have been a little girl. So, well, it's like Rodney like, he's the protagonist of Robots. Like, he really wants to be an inventor like his childhood hero, Big Weld. So, like, he goes to Robot City from his town to there determined to, like, be an inventor. But, of course, like, he's dealt with obstacles or, like, other bots that have told him, like, even, like, Mr. Gunk, he says to Rodney, you're a hand-me-down son of a dishwasher and that's all you'll ever be. And the moment that made him mad, it's like that motivated him to show that he's got a lot of versatility to deliver. Wow, that's a whole lot of summarizing story, but yeah, my point is exactly I can relate to Rodney. As Big Weld states in the movie, he goes, whether a bot is made of old parts, new parts, or spare parts, you can shine no matter what you're made of. And that is so true. Yeah, what made Rodney so determined to provide some greatness into the world was because, like, one of the conflicts that were pointed out in the movie was Ratchet providing such upgrades so the bots could not afford. Because, like, Ratchet, to him, it was about making money off of upgrades, where Big Weld, he cares a lot about bots that may have old parts, spare parts, whatever. How robots relate similar to me? Well, because, like Rodney, I aspire to be an artist, but, like, I just felt like people have, like, scorned at me, or, like, well, not, like, verbally said, but, like, in my head, it just felt like, you're just a no-good Asian girl, like, slutty girl, and that's all you'll ever be. That's just a random thought. Or, like, why don't you just be the smart Asian for once? You know, like, there are people that rely on stereotypes, and that gets me so pissed. Like, really, that is just a no-go. So, enough of that. So, essentially, regardless of all the interests that I've carried as a kid, they've become, like, my co-director. And not outgrowing Sanrio or Pink or Kawaii, because I still love it. Because, like, these guys have, like, made me me. As time went on, I've moved from being judged and out of place to claiming my special interests as survival tools, identity markers, and artistic strengths. As of this video, out of what I've talked about, this ties in so much with self-acceptance and a redefinition of womanhood. So, yeah, womanhood could look like work-style clothes, or, like, business-style, business casual, all those, like, nice clothes, like, really posh and rich, even sexy. Also, womanhood could also mean, like, the interests that have shaped you from the time you were a kid to how it shapes you today. As I've said, I still go back to rewatching favorite movies because it's, like, a comfort to me. Like, I feel so, like, regulated and in control of my surroundings and everything. So, hopefully that would be a good piece of advice to keep in mind. As I quote Robin Williams, one of the things he said before he passed was, like, is just be kind to people. You never know what they're going through. As I said this before, and I'll say it again, story first. The story comes first. It's what drives everything. So, don't let any of these little mishaps just get in the way. With these stuffed animals around me, it's like they've become a part of my world, and that's what I aspire to integrate into other people's worlds. And also, by the time I move into an apartment, you want to be in a place where you could do your thing, but also surrounded by things that bring you joy. And that's what attracted to me about, like, my room in particular. Like, you see a lot of K-pop stuff, a lot of colorful items everywhere. Because that's just all important aspects within myself. And over the years, I've come to love it in terms of not just the beauty itself, but also how realizing, oh yeah, there was a time that I found interest in this particular idea and thing, and hopefully that makes a lot of sense. Whew, wow, that's a whole lot that I've thrown at you. For those who feel unsure about utilizing their special interests for creative practices, I would say treat your interests as source material, like guides, like mood boards, color palettes, props, and design, to name a few. And of course, you'd like to build projects around them for purposeful reasons, like short films, video essays, behind the scenes, because why not? Well, it's kind of like you're answering the whole, like, what's another side of you that people might not recognize because you might not have talked about it in your life, or you might have been unsure to put the words to it. That's quite a complex question, but it's like not a general question, but it's like a pretty open-ended essay question. And if you're applying to any artistic program, like any MFA program or BFA, it's like they essentially, like the admissions, they want to get to know you, like who you are, what your story's like, what your journey's like, some setbacks and how'd you overcome those. There's a lot, to put it. My interests as a young girl have shaped me into my filmmaking practice, and also for vlogs too, obviously. Like, for example, you might see me with this Hello Kitty plushie. She's got a little goth like skulls on her. This is kind of like goth kitty, and I'm pretty sure there's also like a little punk rock goth My Melody. So this is My Melody. And of course, this is Kuromi. You might have seen a couple of them in my previous videos, but if you're not, you could already tell. So what I'm trying to say, like, for these kind of cute plushies like these, they're kind of like clues in a way that lead to the big picture. Well, it's kind of like a way of saying, like, clearly this person's interested in a lot of like cute stuff, a lot of girly. She's another Sanrio character. Like Kuromi, she's another Sanrio figure. Like, it all depends on the person, so not trying to state that all girls like that. Like, there's no one-way definition to be a woman. So, like, out of the special interests that I've had and how they've changed over time, like, a lot of them might have stayed the same, but a couple others have changed. So one of the things I learned is that they act as not just a surviving mechanism, but also it's like therapeutic in a way. Like how any form of art that I do is considered therapeutic. Aside from like being just like for a job thing, but it's like filmmaking is what I've been enjoying since forever. And as a kid, I couldn't talk about it, but now in my 20s, it's like I can talk about it now. So that's quite a evolving change. So that's a good point to keep in mind. So that was a whole lot thrown at you. So hopefully you've taken from this episode, like, take this with a grain of salt, or even more than a grain of salt. If this helps you with your craft, that's great. We could be like creative sisters or creative besties. So, I'm so excited for this episode to be launched really soon. I'm sure across platforms, including my YouTube channel, because I've been dying to talk about this. So when I was 16 or 17, but I'm so happy that I discussed this at 23. Thank you all for bearing with me during this episode. This has been Set the Stage episode 7. So for more questions or for topics that you're requesting, please be sure to leave a DM on Instagram. And also, of course, be sure to follow all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And of course, my Patreon, Spotify, all that to name. Hope this has brightened up your day as much as I worked hard on writing this big prompt. And this is definitely not 100% easy to talk about, but I've done my best to explain it in the best ways that I can. Make sure you like, subscribe down below to be part of the Glitter Angel family, and I'll see you in the next episode/vlog. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!